Take a look here at the deck list for blue-black. Not sure if there are main deck Drowning Sorrows this go around. There is definitely some spot removal, though. You've got your Bile Blights in the main deck, along with 4 copies of Hero's Downfall. Song's going to start things off here with a Crow and Crusader.
Yeah, 0 copies in this main deck at least.
Temple of Deceit is where Murray's going to start. He's going to leave the top card on top before going back over to Song. Song does have lands in his hand. You can see the white bordered cards. Those will be the lands. He'll attack with the Crusader for 1. Murray's down to 19. Second land here, along with Fire Drink Crusader and Frenzied Goblin there. So a very, very nice start, and what he's hoping for is hopefully no Drowning Sorrow.
These mono-red decks often don't have the luxury of playing around Drowning Sorrow because the deck's not powerful enough. So you look at your hand and sometimes you say, all right, well, just have to hope it's not there.
There's Dismal Backwater. Murray's going to go back up to 20, and he'll just pass the turn back. Song will quickly untap and draw a card here.
It looks like Song is possibly rocking a state championship medal there.
Oh, actually, yes, he is. Good eye, Sniper. I am impressed.
Is that a Coheed and Cambria reference?
That is. Now I'm duly impressed. If you can name the name of that song, I will be triply impressed, assuming that triply is a word, which I don't think it is.
I don't have it.
Yeah, of course you don't.
Well, I'm not a fan of that band.
Well, that's incorrect.
I only know that song because it came on the radio a few times.
It's called A Favorite House Atlantic.
Yep.
And I've just lost a little bit of respect for you. Not a lot, just a little. Don't take that personally. I don't even think you actually care.
It's called We're Ripping Off Rush, except our lead vocalist's voice is more annoying somehow.
Well, that's aggressive. I don't think the people at home are going to appreciate that very much. Here's a pump with the Fire Drink Crusader. This will be an attack here for 3, 4, and 5 points of damage. Murray's down to 15. Song still hoping that there is no Drowning Sorrow. Now, see, here's the interesting, right? Song has a Stoke the Flames. He's also got another 1-drop in his hand, but he's electing not to play the 1-drop. Would you play it there?
I would not play it if it was the same copy of a 1-drop I already had in play, because you have to respect Bile Blight as well.
Okay.
But if it was not a 1-drop that overlapped, I'd probably just cast it.
Well, there's Bile Blight to get rid of the Satyr. You saw Murray play Dismal Backwater. He's back up to 16. The draw here for Song is a mountain. I'm sure he does not want another one of those. Here's an attack for 2.
If you slow roll these threats too much, you just lose to other things.
Yeah, I think that's the big issue.
This board's not beating Drowning Sorrow in the long term, assuming Ryan is doing anything at all. He just has card drawing and kill spells. He'll win the game from here. So
he's fine if you pace the game this way, because now you can pick off your creatures. Or play this doofus.
Oh, God. Oh, I guess there's no swamp at least.
There is, oddly enough, not a swamp in play for the Merc Lurker.
AKA Big Lurks.
There's a Stoke the Flames to clear that out of the way. So Song will draw a card. You see he's got a Foundry Tree Denizen in his hand. He's also got a Frenzy Goblin. He's trying to slow roll his threats a little bit, but this could come back to hurt him.
Yeah, he's just got to cast these things, I feel like.
Yeah, 2 points at a time is not going to get it done. That gives him enough time to actually find ways out of this. Drowning Sorrow was the draw for the turn, so this actually ends up looking a little bit better than maybe it should be, but I'm in agreement with you. I think you just have to shove every time and not try to pace your threats against this deck. There is the Drowning Sorrow. Take a look at the top card from the scry.
Frenzy Goblin gives him a slightly bigger incentive to slow roll his threats because he can beat Merc Lurkers by just making them unable to block, but even still. I mean, it looks good now that Drowning Sorrow was the draw step, but it's just hard to win with the leftovers.
There's a redeployment of threats. Here's a Perilous Vault from Murray. And Perilous Vault is a card that it feels like, really shouldn't be something that you'd have to worry about. There's Dragon Mantle. All right, let's get some damage in here, huh? Let's see what he draws.
That was the perfect draw.
I definitely agree with you there. Also note that Murray only has 4 lands in play, so he actually needs to peel the 5th land to actually even be able to activate the vault. Now, the big question here is, what did Song draw for the turn? Because he is certainly thinking about this one.
It had to be something really good for him to want to do anything other than just attack and dump all of his mana into this Dragon's Mantle.
And it looks like this is exactly what he's going to do, is attack and dump all of the mana. So 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 points of damage. Murray is down to 5. And for Ryan, he actually needs to draw a land again to activate the mantle. It needs to be a land that does come into play untapped. His draw is a swamp, so he has found an untapped land. That was step 1. He'll just pass the turn back over to Song with the ability to blow the vault. Song will draw a card. It was another copy of Dragon's Mantle. That is what he drew last turn.
So that makes sense that it would be a debate at that point, but I still think he's better off just getting his point of damage in.
This is Eidolon of the Great Revel. That is a Dragon Mantle that'll deal Edward 2 points of damage. He'll go Cantrippin, and he'll just pass the turn back over to Murray. Murray will draw a card. Didn't get a great look at it. It looked like it may have been a Bile Blight, and it was. In order to cast that, he'll have to take 2 and go down to 3.
But he does have Dissolve left over, so he can Bile Blight, take the damage, and then Dissolve a follow-up, which is not bad.
There are worse turns. See where he's going to organize his mana here, so he can cast the necessary spells. You see we're underneath 10 minutes in the round. There's a Hero's Downfall. So going to go with the more expensive option while leaving 2 mana available. Does have a negate in the grip. His Song will draw a card. And did not get a great look, but he will just pass the turn back over to Murray. Murray's draw for the turn was a copy of Dig Through Time.
As a rule, I like getting the expensive spells out of the hand first. So if he did have negate, I think that's a fine to use the Hero's Downfall instead of the Bile Blight. The big risk there is Monastery Swift Spear, because negate can't touch it. Although if he had the mana left over to Bile Blight, then I guess he has that covered too.
But he did not, actually. He left up Island plus Temple to see on that particular turn, so it would have been an issue. You just see the Jurabai Merc Lurker come into play. There's a Swamp in play for it now, so it's a 2-4, and it looks like it's getting lifelink as well. Slowly chipping away at the red deck now. Wouldn't want to run into one of those things.
But Ryan's hand is really well suited at this point. I mean, he's got a ton of good reactive elements.
Yeah, it looks like Song has drawn the wrong half of his deck at this point. You see there's a Hammer Hand over there, and I believe a Titan Strength as well, having difficulty dealing those last points of damage. You can see a little bit of frustration.
Although, even if he didn't, of course drawing this many lands isn't good, but even if he wasn't flooding out, it's all stuff that would have been just swept up by the Hero's Downfall and the Perilous Vault anyway, most likely, so.
See what this is going to be, a Goblin Rabble Master. I got a feeling that's going to die or get countered in just a moment here. Don't think that old boy is going to be hanging around for long.
It's just a question of which reactive card does Ryan want to use.
Yep. Looks like he's going to go with Dissolve.
And I like getting the Dissolve out of here because, you know, Rabble Master is worthy of a solution like that. And he wants to get the Dissolve out of hand because it's the least flexible reactive card in a lot of respects. His creature removal you can play on either side, but the Dissolve he has to have the mana ready to go at the moment.
There's the activation with the Merc Lurker, so 2 more life is gained here. And now Murray's working his way out of, being burned out or having to really worry about all that much. He's got a lot of spot removal in his hand because that's what the blue-black deck does. It has a lot of spot removal. He also has Dig Through Time that he has not cast yet, so he's just going to keep attacking and do this thing with the Merc Lurker until he's given a reason to change. As you saw, Song's draw last turn was a copy of Dragon Mantle. Looks like Song has finally drawn a creature. It's a copy of Fire Drink Crusader. The follow-up now is a Dragon Mantle. He's going to try to draw a card here. Murray's going to have a response, however, which is a Bile Blight, so no card draw there for the Mantle and for Edward Song. A little 2-for-1 action there.
I think Edward might have been better served casting the Dragon's Mantle on the Merc Lurker turns ago, just to draw a card. It's just unlikely the Dragon's Mantle amounts to very much on his own creature.
Fair. An activation here. On old Murky, 13-7. Or as you call them, Big Mercs. Now it's time to Dig Through Time. So away goes the graveyard. And Murray will take a look at 7 cards, of course, choose 2 of them. Get used to this. I think we're going to be seeing this for years to come.
Yep. The Merc Lurker is really, really good against decks like this. A 2-4 for 3 is already challenging enough.
And then the fact that it has additional text on it.
Yep.
And relevant text against an aggressive deck sure is nice.
Synergizes so well with Drown in Sorrow.
So one of the cards that Murray found was a Pearl Lake Ancient. That's his way for him to close the game out very quickly. Big Murky coming in for 2 more. And it looks like no interest in lifelinking it. If you're Edward, it has to be a little curious.
Well,
it all makes sense, however, because the Pearl Lake Ancient, that is going to do it. Ryan Murray's going to win this match over Edward Song. 2-1 blue-black controlled, downing mono-red aggro.
Probably a bad matchup game 1, and then you try to clean it up post-board. And Drown in Sorrow plus Merc Lurker, good combination.
Yep, 4 Merc Lurkers, 3 Drown in Sorrows. That seems to be enough. There's also some negates over there as well to kind of clean things up after sideboard. I do imagine that game one is very tough for blue-black, but after sideboard, things get a lot easier.
No copies of Drown Star on the main deck, and I believe that the list that Owen and Andrew played had 2 in the main deck at the Pro Tour.
I'd have to take a look at it. I know that some blue-black lists out there did have main deck Drown Sorrows at Pro Tour Concept Arc here.
So